I've always been a London system hater. I thought this was just a boring, repetitive opening, but I was wrong. I played a few games and found out that while being super simple to learn, it also gives white dangerous attacking plans if you play it the right way. And as you will see, this can lead to some very nasty checkmate ideas. Let's go. And there we go, bishop f4, we have the London system. In this opening, we are going to develop our pieces in a clear way. Knight f3, and we want to keep going with e3, bishop d3, c3, knight there, and castle. There is one thing that we need to watch out, and is not to lose our bishop. And f6 is a move that usually is not good. Never play f6, because it weakens our king. This diagonal becomes weak. But we need to be careful that black cannot play e5 and e4 with tempo, especially if there is our bishop on d3, because with the pawn on e4 that would be a fork. Okay, let's just play the move h3. What I want to do is to play the move g5 followed by h4 and to trap our bishop. So it's very important not to play the move e3, but now we just go back with our bishop. Okay, Amigo Torres has been just pushing pawns, and this is not good. So what we are going to do is to also bring our pieces as quickly as possible. For example, the bishop on g6 could be very annoying. And you know what? We first give a check, making the king lose the possibility to castle, and then we are going to take back here with the knight, because with the knight we are also attacking this pawn, since the queen is protecting the bishop. And we take it. And now there is one very typical idea in the London, which is to slide the queen on f3, especially once the knight is on e5. And now we are taking this pawn, and well, that's checkmate. Before moving on to the next game, let me tell you how you can be part of a historic chess event. Chess is going to be part of the Web Summit 2024, an annual technology conference held in Lisbon, Portugal, next week. On November 13th, Hans Niemann is going to play a game on stage. Who is the opponent? You. Yes, people from all around the world in alliance with AI can participate in and try to defeat Hans. Don't miss this big opportunity and register today for this massive event for the world of chess and technology, Hans Niemann versus you, on chess.it.com. The event is organized by the it.com domains in collaboration with Web Summit and the World Chess. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Back to the game. One very important thing to say is that usually going with the knight there is not a great idea. Why? Because in these d4, d5 structures, black usually wants to play the move c5 to attack the center. And of course the knight is now blocking the way. Anyway, we keep going with the move c3. I want to play the move c3 before before moving my bishop here to avoid the move knight b4. Let's go with the bishop. I don't like what black is doing, pushing a little bit too many pawns in the opening. Yes, those moves are sometimes useful because they are avoiding the knight from jumping on, but this is terrible. Okay, we already sneak in with the bishop, giving a check. The king has to move. They cannot castle anymore. This is already a huge success, but we have to say the opponent helped us quite a lot. When the king of our opponent is in the middle of the board, we have to open up the center. Before playing the move e4, opening up the center, I will castle. There we go. And then we are ready. Okay, the knight is attacking the bishop, so we are very happy to go back. Our purpose of giving this check has been a huge success. The king is now stuck on d7. They can no longer castle. And the problem with this king on d7 is not just that the king is weak. It's also that this bishop cannot go out. The queen is blocked. That's a multi-weakness. We are going to push either e4 or c4 because both moves are trading pawns in the center of the board. And now it's quite clear that if we play e4, we lose a pawn, we get forked. So we are not going to play that. We'll play the move c4. Another way to trade a pawn in the center, so some files are going to be opened. There we go, we take back already. The bishop is looking at this pawn, which is protected just by the king. A very interesting move now would be to play the move d5. All right, the pawn is attacking the knight. The move d5 is still a possibility because after pawn takes, we were going to take here with a check. But after pawn takes, bishop takes, this can be taken. We could take there with a check, but the king can take and we are a piece down. So I'm just going to give this check, trade this knight with tempo, because after bishop takes, I could also take with the pawn. But then the king just goes there and I don't have much. I'll take with the bishop and I want to attack the rook, of course. And now we are ready to go for this move, I guess. We could also just, I like this. We just go out with the knight because after pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, I'm giving away my bishop for a knight. Instead, I want to keep it. And now can we push? I guess so. That's lovely. We push the center, open even another file. Once you trade, every time you trade pawns, the position gets more and more open because pawns are blocking pieces. You never can give away your piece for a pawn because a pawn is just as a value of 1. So the more pawns are traded, the more the position is opening up. And with this the king stuck in the middle of the board, that's amazing. Now I have an amazing tactic. It's so cute. Bishop f7, check. If the king is taking, the queen is now unprotected. Yes. The only move for them would have been king e7, but I would have taken a free rook, so it would have been anyway amazing. Now this pawn is hanging, and what we will try to do in this game is to give a checkmate as quickly as possible. We take here with the check. That's great. Our bishop is now under attack. I'm expecting the move. I'm not expecting the move anymore. We'll bring the rook to the game. Don't forget to bring out all your pieces. I think you should try to... I was almost scared that my queen was running out of squares, but that's all right. This was not perfect because now I'm running into this move, which is winning back a piece. Okay, my opponent didn't play, which is good. I'm giving a check, winning another rook. But you know what? I will not go for... Oh, okay. They're forcing me to take this rook. Would have been checkmated. After king h7, I could have played queen f7. Now I'm just collecting even another piece. I want to say, you should have, during a chess game, some questions that you should repeat to yourself. For example, after every move of your opponent, you should always ask, what is their idea? Because if not, you blunder. That's how the blunder are happening. Okay, GG's. Let's go. Second game, we play the London system. The second question that you should ask at any point, by the way, again, the knight here, it's a mistake. The second question that you should ask at any point is like, am I playing with all my pieces? Are all my pieces having a purpose? In the opening, the answer is usually no. That's why you have to prioritize development over any other action. Okay, this is basically the fried lever, reversed fried lever. There is a knight attacking this pawn, which is protected by the bishop. Now the queen is protecting, but we of course don't want to get forked. So we play knight here, which is the only way to defend. And this reverse fried lever, let's call it like this, even if it's not called like this, but we understand each other, right? Is not that powerful because I can play the move c3 next, which is a natural move, what I want to play anyway in the London. I'm going to force the knight to go back, and then after bishop here, I have developed all my pieces. Everything is out. Also, the queen is ready to enjoy the party. Okay, we have got a weakness, those two double pawns, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We are going just to castle and then to try to exploit the advantages of those two double pawns, because there are also some pluses. For example, the b file open. We can bring a rook, putting pressure on this pawn. Now, remember, chess is not checkers. Every time you have to ask, do I really have to take that pawn? Because the pawn was protecting the knight, as we saw. All right, You remember the first question? In every situation, even when you are up a piece, actually, especially when you are up a piece, you have to ask, am I playing with all my pieces? In this position, my rooks are not playing. So we gotta bring them out. And I love this way because I can push the pawn on d4, on d5, sorry, and then bring the rook to the party. But let's play the move knight g5. Once you have developed almost all the pieces, I could still bring this rook, but it's not making a huge difference if the rook is there or there. You can go on with the piece forward to threaten checkmate that your opponent will not miss. And don't take the knight, please. Take the mate. Take the king. GG's. One more time. 1d4 and bishop f4. If black is going to play knight c6 again, I'm quitting. Kidding. Okay, we go with the knight out. Can we do a perfect London system development? It would be with the 2 pawns up here, and then bishop on d3, and eventually knight on d2. Okay, I think we're gonna have it. What is black going to do in this game? To go for the fianchetto. So we will see how to deal with this. Let's play e3, and then bishop here, and then c3. We are almost there, and I have a task for you. Oh, there we go, and it's to subscribe. All right, so there is one move still missing actually, and it's to castle. Now we actually completed it. There is one thing that I want you to look out, and it's for this bishop to always have a way to not get trapped. For example, if they start to play moves like f6, you always need to watch out for the move g5, bishop there, and then maybe h5, h4. Of course, this is not recommended for black because you shouldn't push the pawns in front of your king. But just in case, keep it in mind. Pawn here is a free cheese macaroni. I'm gonna take it. Thank you very much. Don't forget to say thank you very much. To be nice to your opponent. So now, this knight is hanging. So they did very well to protect it one more time. We already have an extra pawn. So when you have extra material, trades are good. So we are trading this knight. The pawn has to take. Now we have to move our knight one more time, but we are attacking this pawn. And I wanted exactly this because the only way to protect this pawn, well, there is also a wrong way with the bishop here, which would hang a knight, is to play the move f5. But after the move f5, I really love to put my bishop on this diagonal. This is going to be so annoying for them. So we like it. Also, another idea could be to push this pawn on d5 or to give a check with the queen. Lots of ideas, but it's first their task. Do they protect this pawn? No, they don't. They move the knight away. All right, trades are good. We're gonna trade and we're gonna win a second pawn. Now, to win this position with 2 extra pawns is actually not that easy. Because if you have 2 extra pawns, a logical way to win the game is the following. Trade all the pieces, go to an endgame with just a king and all the pawns, and as you have extra pawns, you can promote one, make a queen, and give mate. But it's a long way. So we probably need to combine this strategy with other strategies. For example, once we have pawns, they are very good at supporting pieces and at kicking pieces of our opponent away. So we're kicking knights away. So we could take space with the pawns and slowly advance with our army, because the plus of having pawns, now the queen is attacking, the knight is attacking the queen, so we move the queen here. The plus of having pawns is that our opponent can never get rid of them. Well, should never get rid of them, because you don't want to give away a piece for a knight. So you see, we are advancing even more. And always remember to ask the question, which one of my pieces is not playing? And right now, my rooks are not playing. So I'm going to place my rooks on these files where they are, which are most probably going to be open at some point. You might say like, wait, why didn't you trade? And the reason is that I want my opponent to be the first one to trade, or I want to give a fork, which is even better. Nice. So we are increasing our advantage, which is good. We also had another way, actually, to increase our advantage, and it would have been to push this pawn and then to give a fork. That would have also been a very cute way to play here. Anyway, knight c5 is their turn. They are moving the queen. We just take this. Yes. And then we also trade here. Do we? Yeah, let's just trade. This is the simplest way to move on. Now, trades are always good for you. So I'm pushing this pawn, and after pawn takes, I'm activating the rook. I created an open file. So I can bring the first rook, and then, sooner or later, also the second one. Okay, they moved just the queen. There we go. Now, in this position, I want you to be alert for one thing, the back rank checkmate. So please, when you're approaching an endgame where you see like, oh, there is not anymore many of my pieces on my back rank, play a move that gives the space to your king, just in case, to avoid a shocking checkmate. All right, so we are in an endgame, and there is one rule that you know already, hopefully, if you watch this channel. If not, you should subscribe. I say it again. To bring the rook on the 7th rank, because there are all the pawns of your opponent, and your rook can be like a Pac-Man, collecting one after each other. And if you can bring 2 rooks, that's even better, because even the pawns that are protected can be taken. For example, this one is protected by the queen, and we can take it if we have 2 rooks over there. Another very important rule in endgames is to use your pawns and push them, advance them, especially those that have no barrier. For example, if you push this pawn, at some point it's going to be blocked. But if we push this one, the way is free up to promotion. And so let this pawn go, let it go, push and baby. All right, I'm actually going to push also this one. So they are 2 and they are protecting each other, which is even better. Okay, trades are good. I love to trade. And now we push. And I'm just going to roll these pawns, one after each other. Don't forget, the best way to protect the pawn is to be behind, because then you can just push it freely as much as possible. Now the bishop was attacking this pawn, so we push and pushing and pushing. And this is just going to be a GG very soon. There's one rule that is very funny. Once there are 2 pawns on the 6th rank, they say that those pawns have the same value of a rook. They are so good. Now we push even forward, and bishop is under attack. And the bishop has basically... You need to sacrifice the bishop, because if not, what am I going to play next? I could play queen here, and then push this pawn, but I could also sacrifice this pawn, the queen has to take, and then I'm promoting. But once the bishop is sacrificed, I'm still like going to promote in a few more moves. That's a GG. One more time we have the London system, but this time the opponent went with knight f6, which should be more or less, okay, it's exactly the same. So there is one thing I still want to show you about the London system, and this is how to make a perfect attack. Let's see if in this in this game, I have the chance to attack my king, because, sorry, not my king, their king, because the cool thing of this bishop on d3 is that it's attacking directly this pawn on h7. Now, the bishop here is a bit annoying because he's blocking my bishop. I will go with the knight here first, and now I can think, because maybe I will do a slight change and I will play the move c4. Because the problem, why shouldn't black go with the bishop out too early, and is that this pawn could become very weak. And with the move c4, I can slide my queen on c3 and make this happen. So I really want to do that. There we go. Attacking this pawn. After the move b6, this knight could get pinned quite sometimes. It can become really annoying. For example, b6, I could play queen a5, pinning once this knight. Okay, that's a reasonable check. We will go with the knight here, covering the check. Now, there is the move knight e4 that looks interesting, but it's not really okay. They're just castling. I think we should try to do the same. Bishop here, and then we are going to castle. So there will be lots of pressure in this game still against this pawn, and I will show you how we can exploit a double pressure on this pawn and on the pawn on d5, because right now we are attacking that pawn 3 times. Of course, this knight is pinned, but once the king is castled, that can become really annoying. For example, already now they are interfering with the defense of the queen. So potentially we can take here, and after pawn takes, take with the knight. Now, can we do, or are there in-between moves, intermezzo? After pawn takes, they can take also here, but we can take this knight. And then this bishop and this pawn are both hanging, so that's great. So after pawn takes, they can take, they have 2 possibilities, taking with the pawn or taking with the knight. If they take with the knight, we take with our knight. And if they take here, we take with the knight back, we win a piece. So after bim, boom, bam, they have to take with the pawn, we take with the queen. Oh, and since we are not castled, our queen here is unprotected, and there would be the move bang. So we can't do that. No. That's why we play bishop g5. That's a great move. We are pinning the knight, and now this pawn is really hanging. Is it? We just need to castle. Boom. That's very important. Now this pawn is really hanging. Is it? Not really, because there is this other check. Okay, I'm showing you so many times that this pawn is like a cat. It has 9 lives, but at the 10th, I will get him. Let's see. Attacking this knight, forcing the knight to move back or to move forward. I don't think moving forward is a good idea. Always remember, once you move forward your pieces, you need to imagine, do I have a way to come back? Because if you don't have a way to come back, you might end up being trapped in enemy territory, and so my queen. Oh boy. Oh boy. So this is how to come back from blunders, because I lost the queen. I can't believe that. Okay, I'm going to take there and take this pawn. So my compensation is huge here. No, it's really bad. Never mind. So let's try, okay? The bishop is going back. Now that we have a pawn hanging, and we should avoid trades. But this trading this pawn is quite needed. But it's an interesting idea, because if they take with the bishop, okay, they took with the pawn, which is the right way. All right, I will just, should I go for this? Maybe that's the best. It's the most aggressive way. Yeah, let's go for this move. I'm losing here. If my opponent plays well, I can't win this position. But if they make some mistakes, like this one, I think I can allow this trade, because now I'm pushing this pawn, and I might win some material. They have a way to deal with it, and is to play h6. Okay, I am taking back here. Now they could play h6, bishop moves, and then g5. And they save the day. I have still quite some pawns. They are blocking at least the pieces, so they cannot get too far away. Okay. Now, if I take this pawn, I lose this. Sorry, if I take the knight with the pawn, I lose the knight. So I'm moving first this knight away and try to keep this knight pinned. Still, the move h6 is saving the day, but I want to insist here. is not so easy. But we'll try our best. We need to bring all the pieces to the attack somehow. We need to try to do that. And my rooks are not playing yet. If my opponent plays the best move, I'm losing. But I see this like a good try. I'm going to sacrifice my knight, because after pawn takes, I can take back with the bishop. And I will win this knight back, and there is lots of pressure. The problem is that I think they could sacrifice a piece here. And that would be annoying. Because after pawn takes, the rook is taking, and I'm not longer able to take this knight. So they basically save a piece. Wow. They are playing really well. All right, I played a move f4. I'm attacking the rook, protecting my bishop, and I still have one idea. That is knight h5, exploiting the pin one more time. And this could work out. Ooh, ooh, ooh. When you see a free rook, take it. Yes, we're coming back. Actually, suddenly, my position is amazing. Because I have a rook, I have a knight, and I have 2 pawns for a queen. 2 pawns? No, 1 pawn, sorry. But that's lovely. All right, so I have a check here or there. Okay, this just wins. Because I'm giving a check. If the knight takes, the queen is hanging. If the king moves, I'm just taking this piece. So we are now actually about to have more material than my opponent. But the queen is a queen and is very powerful, so we still need to watch out. Don't forget, the most important thing is always to play with all your pieces. If not, even if you have an extra piece, if I just play with those 2, I'm just playing with 6. So that's not gonna make it. Ah, this is tricky, eh? You see, the queen is still a dangerous piece. I don't want to get in trouble, so I will play king h1, getting out of the discovery check. If not, my opponent could have played some discovery check like rook c1. I move the king and then I'm getting mated. But like this, I should be able to hold. After queen here, queen takes, I can slide my rook to the attack, but I still have a very tricky move, okay? We might see it. I have a problem, and is that I could get back rank checkmate. For example, the rook there could be dangerous. I will play this move. Now, for example, queen here is quite dangerous. Why did I just say it but not do didn't do anything about it? Okay, I think I would have a way to save it. So after queen f2, if I take, there is checkmate with the rook down. But I have a super strong move, c5 intermezzo. Sorry, f5 intermezzo, giving a check, and the bishop is then controlling the square. So then on the next move, I can take the queen. Now they took here, they are attacking this pawn, which is actually protected, so that's not a problem. We're gonna push, give a check, and we try to give mate as quickly as humanly possible. All right, so we have a check here, the king moves. Oh, celebration. Okay, there we go. We give a check and we win the queen. That's making a huge difference, because we can simplify the position and GG's. Can we pull a great attack without losing the queen? Let's see. What are they going to do? Oh no, not again. Knight here. That's wrong, but we're going to just keep going with the knight out, with the pawn on e3, ready to bring out the bishop on d3 as well, and then to castle. Okay, they played the move bishop f5, which we saw already. I played the move c3 because I want to stop this knight from going there. Let's try to play a bit different, a bit more in a conventional London system setup. We're going to play the bishop here, trade this bishop maybe. Okay, maybe trade the knight first. Let's go with the knight. And usually we are going to put a knight on e5 as well. Okay, they are trading, we take. Now the only moves that are missing to complete the development are bishop d3 and castle. And we're going to do that like this. We can castle and try to play for the move e4, opening up the center. All right, now I will show you some very interesting plan. If they trade the bishop, and my opponent seems to love trades because they've been trading all the minor pieces almost. There we go. We have a double pawn, 2 double pawns. But this pawn is giving us support in 2 different ways, for e5 and for g5, which is a critical square. Now the queen is attacking this pawn, and I want to just defend it. How do I... Okay. Every time there are opposite side castling, remember, you have to go quick for an attack. I'm going to push b4, and I'm also going to push a4 and b5 and a5, because the idea is that I want to trade pawns where my opponent's king is and try to bring the queen, the rooks, and give checkmate. Now, you shouldn't do what black is doing here, because you shouldn't help me trading pawns, because you're helping me opening up files. Now, it seems like here the files are still blocked, but I can for sure get through it. I will bring probably my rook there, maybe try to play for c4, maybe I will even sacrifice a rook. That's a sacrifice. More or less, okay? It was an unwanted but wanted sacrifice. So now we first give a check. The king cannot run there because the queen, the knight is covering the square, so there is just 1 square to go. And hey guys, that was a sacrifice, okay? Because this is mate. Nice. The London system is on the board. Let's try to give checkmate on the king side. I need to do it. What? What? Okay, we don't lose the bishop. There we go. I mean, maybe h5 could have been a better idea rather than h6. But this is really a bit weird. Pushing a little bit too many pawns. Yeah, now I understand the idea, but it's a bit too obvious, let's put it that way. How to defend? Either h4 or h3. With h4, we're basically forcing this move, and then we need to move the knight backwards, probably here. With h3, after this, we can take, and they have to take with the bishop. I think I like this move more, so I'm offering them the possibility to play the move h4. Now they don't play h4. If they take with the pawn, the rook is hanging, so they have to take with the bishop. And now I just keep going with my bishop here. I'm threatening to give this check, which is... Oh, imagine if knight goes there. That would be the worst move in this position, because bishop g6 would be checkmate. But of course, I'm already very happy if I make black lose the possibility to castle. That's why you should never, never, ever play the move f6. All right, black is moving the rook there, but I'm now moving the bishop one more time, but for a reason. I want this rook to get out of the way so I can give this very important check. All right, the rook is not yet moving back, but the bishop is taking the knight. I don't like this move because you still have the problem of the rook and you help me to go out with the queen. Now I can give a check. The king has to move out, and then this pawn is hanging. Now I could take immediately, but I could also give this check or this check. I'm trying to evaluate, because if I give this check, the king can just go back. But that's great, because if the king goes back, now the bishop is controlling the square. So if I can bring, my queen, this is mate. And how to stop it? Well, the only way I see is by pushing this pawn 1 or 2 steps. In both cases, the pawn is hanging, whilst the king is not really escaping that far. It's just going to e7. If e6, I'm going to take, and again I'm threatening queen g6, followed by queen f7, which would be checkmate. e5 is also an option, but that also seems very nice after pawn takes, bishop takes, attacking the rook. Oh wow, they just resigned. This is a win in 13 moves. Final game with the London system. Let's try to give a quick checkmate. Hopefully we bring the bishop out. And there we go, e6. So we can now start to create our normal setup with the knight out, followed by pawn on e3, bishop d3, c6. Okay, I like that black is playing something good, recommended against the London. So playing the move c5. Now the trade seems a little bit too early for me. I will play also the move c6, bishop here. I love this position, and I think this could be a very good example of how to attack when you are playing the London. We have developed almost all the pieces. We'll still bring the knight out. And there is one move that you need to remember, and is knight e5. We don't want to trade this bishop. We go with the knight here. And now if the knight is trading, we're taking with the pawn and we're giving a fork. So taking with the knight is a mistake. But if they take with the bishop, we are very happy to get the bishop here. So what should I do? Well, maybe castle, but castle is also very risky. Maybe moving the queen to c7. Okay, they decided to take like this. Now I'm taking with the pawn, and with two knights are attacking one pawn. But I can simply play rook e1, protecting this pawn. And now castling would be super, super dangerous. They like danger. And here we go. To see how to attack in this position, I will bring the knight, and I want to show you the Greek sacrifice. Is basically a combination where you sacrifice a bishop on h7 in order to give checkmate a few moves later. And I have my setup completely ready to do it, because I have a pawn on e5 blocking this square, so there is no knight there. My knight is ready to jump on g5, and my queen is also ready to threaten checkmate on h7. If this pawn is pushing, it's checkmate. So the only piece that needs to do something is the rook, and needs to be moved. But once the rook is moving, what is hanging? f7. So we're gonna take there. The king moves here. And then, how do we give checkmate? Can you see it? We take, the king is moving, and we just need a check. So we bring the rook up, and then, ta-da-da-da. If you enjoyed this, check out how to crush 1e4 with the black pieces. I show you how to deal with all the traps. Thank you for watching.